What happens when a Hollywood titan meets an unflinching television legend face to face, and sparks ignite in front of millions of viewers? What happens when Jason Momoa, the larger-than-life actor known for his charisma and unshakable cool, locks eyes with Joy Behar, the razor-sharp, fearless co-host of The View, in a moment that could only be described as combustible? You are about to witness it. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to Stage View, hit like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. This is a moment no one is going to forget. The set is alive. Lights hang overhead like tiny suns, illuminating every wrinkle, every sheen of sweat, every bead of nervous energy. The audience hums with anticipation. They don't yet know what is about to unfold, but instinctively, they sense that the air is thick with tension. Jason Momoa strides in, a mountain of presence in ripped jeans and a leather jacket that somehow manages to look both effortless and intimidating. His hair falls in waves around his shoulders like dark water, and when he smiles, it's the kind of smile that has the power to disarm entire rooms. Joy Behar, on the other hand, is already seated. Her eyes glint with curiosity and skepticism, a mixture of amusement and readiness. She has seen it all, or so she thinks. Today, however, something feels different. The air between them is electric, charged with the anticipation of an encounter that will ripple far beyond the studio. She leans forward slightly, her voice cutting through the buzz like a whip. "So, Jason," she begins, her tone deceptively casual, "you've been making headlines everywhere, movies, interviews, social media. But some people are saying that your public persona, it's a little over the top. Don't you think you're playing a character off-screen too?" The audience murmurs, some shifting in their seats. Jason freezes for a heartbeat, his piercing gaze locking on her. His lips curl, not in a smile, but in a measured pause, as if weighing every possible response. "I think," he says finally, his voice deep and resonant, "that what people see is me, but maybe they only see what they want to see. I'm not playing a character, I'm living my truth. That's all." The words hang in the air, and Joy tilts her head, a sly grin spreading across her face. "Your truth," she repeats, emphasizing the phrase, "is a lot of tattoos, muscles, long hair, and a lot of social media posts showing off your life. Some people might call it, how do I put this, ego?" Jason's jaw tightens. There's a flash in his eyes, a momentary storm. The room senses it, the energy palpable. This isn't just a celebrity interview. It's a collision of worlds, of philosophies, of personalities that refuse to bow. "Ego," he says, leaning forward now, his voice calm but layered with intensity. "I call it confidence. I call it living fully. If showing the world who I am makes someone uncomfortable, that's on them. I'm not here to make anyone comfortable." The audience reacts, some cheer quietly, some gasp audibly. Joy leans back, adjusting her glasses, the corner of her mouth twitching as she processes his words. She is experienced, but Jason's presence, his sheer magnitude, is different than anything she usually navigates. She's used to debate, to banter, but this is cinematic tension brought to life. "You know, Jason," she says, her voice now sharper, "there's a line between confidence and arrogance. How do you make sure you don't cross it?" He laughs, a sound rich and almost hypnotic, but there's no amusement behind it. It's the laughter of someone fully aware of themselves, someone who knows his own power and refuses to be intimidated. "The line," he says slowly, "is different for everyone. I don't worry about your line. I worry about my own. I try to live kindly, love fully, and fight for what I believe in. That's the line I cross and the line I honor." The camera cuts to the audience, faces frozen between awe and suspense. Some are whispering to each other, their phones already raised to record a moment they know will go viral. The tension builds, a slow, simmering storm that no one can predict. Joy tilts her head again, more deliberate this time, her fingers drumming lightly on the table. "So, Jason," she says, voice smooth but deliberate, "you think you're kind of living fully, your lifestyle, your choices, are something everyone should aspire to? Or is it just your own personal fantasy?" Jason leans back, exhaling, his long fingers weaving through his hair. The studio seems to shrink around him, the lights glaring as if spotlighting a gladiator in an arena. "I don't know about fantasy," he says, eyes scanning the room like he's seeing each soul in the audience. "I just know this. If I'm true to myself, I might inspire someone to be true to themselves too. That's enough." The words land like thunder, shaking the very air. The audience is silent for a heartbeat. Then, like a wave crashing, applause erupts. Not everyone claps. Some remain still, stunned by the sheer intensity of the exchange. Joy's expression, meanwhile, shifts, an eyebrow raised, lips pressed together. She's calculating, weighing her next move. This is not the typical celebrity fluff she usually maneuvers. This is raw, unfiltered reality staring her in the face. The camera pans slowly across the set. Sweat glints on foreheads, jaws tighten, and somewhere in the back, a producer is holding her breath. This is the kind of television moment that editors dream of, but no edit can capture the electric collision happening in real time. The tension between Jason Momoa and Joy Behar is more than personality clash. It's philosophy, charisma, ego, and integrity colliding on a stage designed for entertainment, but now transformed into a crucible of confrontation. And then, as if sensing the crescendo, Jason leans forward, the subtle creak of the chair echoing like a drum roll. "Joy," he says, voice low but intense. "I respect you, I really do. But I'm not here to debate the world's view of me. I'm here to be me. Can you respect that?" The audience exhales collectively. The silence is so thick you could almost touch it. Joy's eyes narrow, not in anger, but in calculation. She tilts her head again, that iconic smirk forming slowly. "Respect," she says, "is earned, Jason. Let's see if your actions match your words." The words hit like a spark in a dry forest. A storm is coming. The studio hums with electricity. The pause between Jason Momoa and Joy Behar is no longer polite silence. It is the pregnant calm before a storm. Every eye in the audience is locked on the pair, every breath caught, every heartbeat amplified by the knowledge that something extraordinary is unfolding. The tension is no longer just between two personalities. It has seeped into the room itself, infecting every light, every camera, every whisper. Jason sits upright, the weight of his presence commanding the space. His hands rest lightly on his knees, but every muscle is taut ready. He feels the energy emanating from Joy, sharp as a blade, probing, testing. He can sense the audience leaning in, the cameras pivoting to catch every micro-expression. There is no turning back now. Joy Behar leans forward, her eyes glinting with that unmistakable mixture of mischief and challenge. "You call it living fully, Jason. But tell me, does living fully mean avoiding responsibility? Avoiding criticism? Or is it just an excuse to be reckless?" The words hang like a gauntlet thrown across the floor. Jason's chest rises as he inhales, his voice low, deliberate, but carrying the power to fill the room. "Reckless?" he repeats, each syllable stretched with weight. "I don't see it that way. Living fully doesn't mean I ignore the world. It means I engage with it on my terms. I don't pretend to be someone I'm not to please others. If that's reckless, maybe the world needs more of it." Joy chuckles softly, a sound edged with challenge. "On your terms, huh? That's convenient. But the world isn't just about you, Jason. People look up to you. They see the lifestyle, the image, the power, and some of them get the wrong idea. Fame comes with responsibility, don't you think?" Jason leans forward, eyes locking on hers, intense and unwavering. The room feels smaller, hotter, as if the air itself has been condensed by their focus. "Responsibility doesn't mean living someone else's life," he says. "Responsibility means using your platform to inspire, to protect, to care, but not at the cost of being false. I can't control what people think. They see what they want to see. All I can do is live with integrity, with courage, with love." The audience shifts, some nodding, some murmuring in disbelief at the intensity radiating from the conversation. You can feel the room vibrating with anticipation. Joy leans back, tilting her head, her fingers drumming lightly against the table as if each tap is a challenge to his conviction. "You make it sound so poetic, Jason," she says, her tone sharp, a subtle edge under the humor. "But poetry doesn't feed reality. Life isn't all heroics and heartfelt speeches. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes people get hurt. Are you ready for that part?" Jason's lips curl into a half smile, almost imperceptible but charged with meaning. "Messy? Life is messy," he admits. "People will misunderstand me, judge me, even hate me. But I've learned that the only way to survive that mess is to stay true. Not easy, not glamorous, but necessary." The studio audience is on the edge of their seats now. Some are whispering, some are gasping at the raw honesty pouring from the exchange. The cameras cut to close-ups of Jason's eyes, dark and intense, reflecting a life lived in extremes. Then to Joy, who leans in again, her expression sharp, analytical, challenging every word, every pause. "So let me get this straight," she says, her voice steady but piercing. "You say you live fully, face judgment, and embrace responsibility. But you also want the freedom to be whatever you want, however you want. Isn't that selfish? Jason leans back, takes a deep breath, and lets the silence stretch for a moment. The tension is tangible, almost painful, like a drawn bowstring. Then, with a voice that rumbles like distant thunder, he says, "Selfish? Maybe. But there's a difference between selfishness and self-respect. I honor my truth. I honor my family. I honor the people I work with. That's not selfish. It's survival, it's authenticity. And if that scares some people, that's their fear, not mine." The audience erupts into a low murmur, some clapping softly, others leaning forward as if trying to catch the next wave of the storm. The energy is raw, electric, almost dangerous. Every word feels like a spark on kindling. Joy's eyes narrow, calculating, her mind racing for the next strike. "Authenticity is great, Jason," she says slowly, deliberately, "but let's talk about consequences. Your words, your actions, your image, they ripple. People see you as a hero, as a role model. And yet, sometimes your choices, your bravado, it can feel performative, like a mask. What would you say to someone who thinks you're just acting out a fantasy?" Jason smiles, a flash of charm and defiance, but there's fire in his gaze. "If someone thinks that, that's fine. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I just live, I fight, I love. And maybe, just maybe, that inspires someone else to stop hiding, to stop fearing, to embrace their own life. That's all I can do." The audience is tense, electric, split between admiration and disbelief. Some cheer quietly, some sit frozen, riveted by the collision of philosophies, the collision of personalities. The producers exchange glances, aware that this is no ordinary interview. It is theater, it is conflict, it is drama distilled into human form. Joy leans forward one last time, her expression a masterclass in control and challenge. "So, Jason Momoa, the man, the myth, the social media icon, you're telling us that underneath it all, this big, bold, unstoppable image is really just you. No mask, no persona, just truth." Jason's voice lowers, almost a whisper now, but charged with intensity. "Exactly," he says. "No mask, no act, just me. And if you can't handle that, well, that's your journey, not mine." The room is silent for a heartbeat. And then a ripple, a surge of energy, an almost tangible shockwave of tension. Cameras capture the glint in Joy's eye, the flicker of awe and respect barely hiding behind her carefully constructed persona. The audience explodes in applause, some standing, some shouting, some recording the moment on their phones. The storm has not yet passed. It has only begun. And in that charged silence that follows, everyone knows. Whatever happens next will be unforgettable. The air in the studio has become almost suffocating. Every light seems to hum. Every camera breathes in unison with the tension building on the stage. Jason Momoa and Joy Behar have moved beyond polite debate, beyond philosophical discussion. Their words are now electric sparks in a room that could ignite at any moment. The audience leans forward as if drawn by invisible strings, mesmerized, caught between admiration, disbelief, and the thrill of danger. Joy leans closer, her voice sharper now, a razor cutting through the charged atmosphere. "Jason," she says, a flicker of challenge in her eyes, "you talk about authenticity, about truth, about inspiring people. But sometimes honesty isn't enough. Sometimes what people see, what people emulate, can hurt them. Isn't that something you've thought about?" Jason's eyes narrow, a storm brewing beneath the surface. His voice lowers, heavy with gravitas, almost vibrating with controlled intensity. "Of course I've thought about it," he says, his tone measured, deliberate. "But I can't control the world's interpretation of my actions. All I can do is live responsibly according to my own conscience. I can't sacrifice myself to the endless opinions of strangers." A murmur runs through the audience. Some nod in agreement. Some frown, unsure whether they're witnessing humility or arrogance. Jason's presence is magnetic, overwhelming even. He fills the room with a force that seems almost tangible, a man whose energy refuses to be contained. Joy leans back, a faint smirk playing at the edge of her lips. "So you're saying, it's okay if people misinterpret you? That's your defense." Jason exhales slowly, leaning forward with a calm that belies the intensity simmering beneath. "I'm saying that the world will always misinterpret. That's inevitable. But the way I live, the way I act, the love I give, the respect I show, that is my truth. That is what matters." The tension tightens, coiling like a spring ready to snap. Joy's expression shifts, a subtle flash of frustration mingled with curiosity. She is seasoned, experienced in navigating difficult interviews, but there's something in Jason's presence, in his unwavering focus that unsettles her. She leans in, voice cutting with precision. And yet, she says, her tone laced with challenge, you present this larger-than-life persona. The muscles, the tattoos, the long hair, the charisma, it's a package. And people see a fantasy, not a reality. Doesn't that come with responsibility? Jason's lips curl in a slow, knowing smile. Maybe to some, he admits. But the responsibility of the world's perception is not mine to bear. My responsibility is to the people I love, the life I live, the causes I believe in. That's it. The rest? That's noise. The audience reacts, divided and tense. Some clap, some gasp, some whisper. Every word feels like a drumbeat, echoing through the studio, reverberating in the hearts of those watching. The energy is almost unbearable, a cinematic tension no edit could capture. Joy leans back further, her hands clasped, her eyes scanning Jason, analyzing every subtle movement. You know, she says, almost softly now, most people would crumble under this kind of scrutiny. You thrive in it. You even seem to enjoy it. Jason chuckles, but there's no humor behind it. It is the laughter of someone fully aware of themselves, someone comfortable in the storm. I don't enjoy the scrutiny, he says slowly, deliberately. I enjoy being alive. Facing judgment, facing criticism, it's all part of living fully. Fear, discomfort, misunderstanding, it's all part of the human experience. I embrace it because it shapes me. It challenges me. Joy's eyes narrow, a glint of challenge igniting. And yet, she says, her voice lowering, some of that challenge, some of that bravado, borders on arrogance. Do you ever fear that it overshadows the message, Jason? That the persona becomes bigger than the man? Jason's response is quiet but thunderous. If my persona overshadows me, he says, then I've failed. I hope that people see both the persona and the man. But if they don't, that's on them, not me. I can't dim my light to make others comfortable. I can only shine it as truthfully as I can. The audience is now fully captivated, caught in the pull of this philosophical and emotional duel. Every jaw is tight, every hand clenched, every eye fixed. The cameras pan over the crowd. Some are on their feet, some are recording with wide-eyed fascination, some are holding their breath, as if the tension might physically consume them. Joy leans forward one last time, her voice steady, cutting through the storm. So tell me, Jason Momoa, the man behind the legend, what's next? How do you reconcile this life of spectacle with the quiet, ordinary moments that everyone else lives? Jason leans back, his hands spreading wide, palms up, a gesture of openness and vulnerability that contrasts with his overwhelming presence. The ordinary moments, he says softly, almost reverently, are everything. The laughs, the family, the love, the small acts of kindness, that's what I fight for. That's what I protect. That's what keeps me grounded. Everything else, the image, the spectacle, it's just noise. A hush falls over the audience. The tension doesn't break, it transforms. What began as confrontation has shifted into revelation. The clash of personalities has become a collision of truth and perception, of image and reality. Cameras capture every micro-expression, every subtle shift in emotion, every glimmer of respect hidden beneath challenge and scrutiny. Joy studies him, her expression unreadable for a moment, then slowly she smiles, a small, measured smile, tinged with respect. Perhaps, she says softly, almost to herself, there's more to the man than we expected. Jason nods, a quiet acknowledgement, a silent recognition of the moment they've shared. The audience exhales collectively, some clapping softly, some whispering in awe. The tension has not vanished, it has deepened, leaving a sense of charged energy that will linger long after the cameras stop rolling. The storm of words has passed, but the aftermath, the ripple of impact, is only beginning. What started as confrontation has evolved into something more profound. An unflinching, raw look at the collision of perception and authenticity, of celebrity and reality, of ego and vulnerability. And in that charged silence, everyone in the room knows, whatever comes next on social media, in headlines, in conversations around the world, this moment will not be forgotten. The drama, the intensity, the collision of two larger-than-life figures has etched itself into the memory of everyone who witnessed it. The lights in the studio dim slightly, the energy thick, as if the air itself is holding its breath. What began as confrontation has shifted into an almost sacred tension. A moment suspended in time, where every glance, every word, every pause carries the weight of revelation. The audience sits frozen, some clapping tentatively, others whispering, everyone caught in the gravity of what has just transpired. Jason Momoa leans back in his chair, the calm after the storm settling into his posture. His dark eyes scan the room, taking in the faces, the cameras, the energy, and he knows that this isn't just another interview. It's a moment that will be dissected, replayed, and talked about for weeks. The sheer magnitude of it settles on him like a cloak. The weight of presence, of authenticity, of being seen, presses against every fiber of his being. Joy Behar sits across from him, adjusting her glasses, her expression unreadable at first. Then slowly, a smirk forms, a quiet acknowledgement that the collision has reached its apex. She leans forward, her voice steady, but softer now, as if the sharp edges of the battle have melted into understanding. "Jason," she says, almost with admiration, "you're not the kind of person you can box in. You defy expectations. You defy labels. And whether people like it or not, that is compelling." Jason smiles, a mixture of relief, amusement, and humility. "Thank you, Joy," he says. "That's all anyone can ask for, just to be seen for who you are. Nothing more, nothing less." The audience bursts into applause, some standing, some clapping so hard their hands hurt, some leaning forward, visibly moved by the raw humanity that has played out before them. The room vibrates with energy, adrenaline, awe, tension released, and wonder at having witnessed a rare, unfiltered collision of personalities. The producers exchange glances, their faces reflecting equal parts astonishment and disbelief. This wasn't scripted. This wasn't rehearsed. This was live, pure, and uncontainable. The kind of moment that changes headlines, trends on social media, and sparks endless debate. Already, smartphones are raised. Tweets and clips are being uploaded in real time. The world outside the studio will not wait to react. Joy leans back, her tone gentler now, reflective. "Moments like this," she says, almost to the audience, "remind us that celebrity isn't always glamour. Sometimes it's confrontation, challenge, honesty, and courage." Jason nods, his long fingers clasped together on his lap. "Exactly," he says. "And for everyone watching, live your truth. Stand tall. Face your fears. Don't let anyone else define who you are." That's the message. The applause crescendos, a wave rolling over the studio, over the set, over the very air. The cameras pan across the audience, capturing faces alight with emotion. Some laughing, some wiping tears, some shaking their heads in disbelief at the power of what they just witnessed. The energy is raw, cinematic, unforgettable. The lights fade slightly as the segment concludes, the clash now transformed into a lasting resonance. The audience is still buzzing, whispering to each other, phones still recording, as the magnitude of the encounter sinks in. Social media is already lighting up with clips, reactions, and heated debates. Journalists and fans alike will analyze every word, every expression for days, weeks, even months to come. As the camera zooms in on Jason Momoa one last time, his calm, confident presence fills the frame. Then it shifts to Joy Behar, whose sharp intellect and unwavering voice have met fire and emerged with a newfound respect. Together, they have delivered something rare, a collision of egos and ideals, of vulnerability and strength, of celebrity and humanity that cannot be contained by headlines alone. And now, viewers, it's your turn. What do you think of this clash between Jason Momoa and Joy Behar? Did he hold his ground, or did the confrontation reveal cracks in the persona? Do you side with the boldness of authenticity, or the wisdom of careful reflection? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Debate, react, share your opinions, your voice matters. If you want more moments like this, explosive celebrity interviews, shocking confrontations, and cinematic storytelling that makes you feel like you're in the room, subscribe to Stage View. Hit that like button, turn on notifications, and prepare for the next story that will make your heart race, your jaw drop, and your mind spin. Because on Stage View, the drama doesn't just unfold. It consumes, it captivates, and it leaves you breathless. And this, right here, is exactly the kind of unforgettable moment you'll want to relive again and again.